Hello and welcome to this course on customers, payments, and reminders. My name is Mille, and for the next hour, I'll guide you through this course. We'll begin by taking a look at the course agenda. First, I'll briefly introduce myself. As I said before, my name is Mille, and I work in the support team here in Economic. This means that I am one of the supporters that you can get in touch with either through the chat or over the phone if you ever need assistance with something in the program. Well, that was a brief introduction about me, so now I think we should take a closer look at what we will be discussing in this course. This course is about customers, payments, and reminders in economic, which is exactly what we're going to delve into. First thing we will look at is the customer registry, where we'll explore how to keep track of your customers in economic. We'll check if there are any amounts that are due on the customers that need attention and so forth. Next, we'll look into the setup of our journals. Since we often need to record similar transactions in our accounting, we might as well set it up to be as automatic as possible, especially when handling customer payments. We'll also cover how to generate reminders in economic for customers who have outstanding or due payments. We'll look at how to set it up according to your preferences and the practical steps involved in sending a reminder in economic. And additionally, we'll explore how to record payments on invoices and in reminders, ensuring that the system reflects when a customer has paid their invoice. Last but not least, when creating a reminder in economic, you have the option to apply reminder charges and interest. If you have utilized these options, it's essential to know how to reverse them, and we'll go into economic to see how it's done. Towards the end of the course, I would like to briefly inform you about what is called straksindbetaling or spot factoring. And the information I will provide here is very brief. So it is simply to inform you that the various options related to payments and reminders. So that's the plan for the next hours. And without further ado, let's get into it. I'll just jump into economic here. So we are ready. When I enter my agreement here in economic, I automatically land on the homepage, which is where we are at the moment. And that is perfect because there's already something on the homepage that I'd like to show you. On our homepage, we have a box down here called Unpaid Sales Invoices, providing an excellent overview of all my sales invoices that have not yet been marked as paid in economic. In other words, these are all my due sales invoices or open sales invoices that I've sent to my customers but haven't been paid yet or matched with a customer payment in economic. The first thing I notice when I look under unpaid sales invoices is a small graph. Down here you can see this round circle, and then we have 4 boxes out here to the right. Here I can see that I have a total of 11,075 Danish crowns open on my customers, which I can expect to receive in the future. We can also see a red and a blue box out here to the right. These 2 boxes represent everything that is overdue within 2 different intervals, showing unpaid sales invoices that have exceeded their due date. Here I can see that I have an overdue invoice with a blue line out here. You'll be able to see that, indicating that the invoice has exceeded its due date by 1 to 15 days overdue. There is also a little small line in here between the gray and the blue. It's the red line, indicating that I have 25 Danish crowns that is overdue with over 15 days over the due date. Finally, there is a gray box, or maybe it's a little bit black, but a gray box representing invoices that are not yet due. This also means that all invoices with a gray line are not eligible for reminders as they are not reached their due date. These colors are also represented out here in the list over the sales invoices. So if I would like to see, okay, I can see I have 25 Danish crowns in the red one, meaning it's an invoice that has been overdue for more than 15 days. I can go out here in the list, see that this one is marked with the red one, and that means that it is my invoice at 10,008 that is overdue. Oh, that is overdue by 15 days or more. So as I said, in the box out here to the right of the graph, we can see specific invoices. We can see various information about our invoices, such as the status of the invoice, whether it's overdue or not, invoice number out here, the name of the customer that received this invoice, and the amount of the invoice. So here we can get a really good overview of all of our unpaid sales invoices, and it is a tool I'm really excited about because through the graph we can get information about the outstanding amounts my customer have with me, as well as more detailed information about what these numbers consist of out here in the list. Another place where you can keep an eye on and get an overview of your customers is up here under the Sales tab, and then the one called Customers out here to the left. On this overview, we can see all of our customers, also called a customer registry. Here we can get an overview of all of our customers, and we can see what each customer's balance is out here in this column, of course called balance, meaning the money they still need to pay me, and whether they have anything overdue, which we can tell out here in the column here. If we, for example, take a look at my customer Lars Andersen, we can see that he is my customer number 1, and he belongs to customer group number 1 as well. And we can see that he has a balance of 4,050 Danish crowns. But none of these 4,050 Danish crowns are overdue yet, as it shows a 0 under the overdue column. This means that the 4,050 Danish crowns that Lars owes me has not exceeded any due days yet. However, if we look at my customers, Maya and Line, we can see that there are some amounts out here in the overdue column. For example, if we look at Line, we can see that she owes me in total 1,775 Danish crowns, and all of these are overdue at the moment. If we take a look at Maya up here, she owes me in total 5,250 Danish crowns, but there is only 1,500 Danish crowns that are actually overdue from the balance. The information I can obtain by looking here is very useful, but I would really like to know a bit more about these numbers and what they consist of. To get more information on these numbers, I can go to the right out here of my customer under Open Entries. Open Entries show all the open entries on the customer, meaning what is yet to be matched. This means that we can see all the invoices where I have not yet received and booked a payment that can match the invoices. When we look here at Open Entries, we can see that I have booked some customer invoices, and we can also see what the balance on my customer consists of. So what we saw before was that the balance was 5,250 Danish crowns on Maya, and that means that this amount consists of 4 different invoices, as we see in here under Open Entries. Here we can also get a specific information about the invoices. We can see the invoice date out here. We can see the invoice number. We can see the due date, the amount, and out here on the column entry, I can also press show entry to see the original invoice in the PDF format. So this is where we see everything that needs to be matched with a payment or a credit note. If you want to see anything that is booked on the customer, you can click on the bottom button up here that says show entries on account. Here we see everything that is booked on the customer, meaning all transactions on the customer. This allows us to keep track of the history of our customer. Now let's go back to my Open Entries for a moment. You can see out here that if I hover over my invoices or over the due date out here, a little pencil appears to the right of my due date. If I click on the pencil, you get the option to change the due date, for example, if you want to give your customer some extra time to pay, or if your customer has requested a bit more time to pay this invoice before sending a reminder. I have agreed with my customer Maya Sørensen to move the due date on invoice 10,009. You can see this invoice was due on the 22nd of November, but the rest is due on the 26th of November. So we have agreed that I move this due date to be the same as the other invoices, so she can make one payment at a time. So to change this due date, I press the little pencil out here to the right. And when I bring up the calendar here, I can select a new date, and you can see that some of these dates are grayed out. As you can see, there are only dates before the current due date, and we cannot select them because we cannot move it back in time to be before the current due date. Therefore, we can only move the due date forward in time. As I mentioned, I have agreed with Maya that the due date on this invoice should be the same as the other 3 invoices. So I choose the date, the 26th of November, and then press OK. Now we can see that the date has changed down here and is now displayed in red. This is to indicate that there has been changes to the due date. And if I hover over the due date now, you can see that it has been changed from providing some information about what has happened if I were to forget. Another place where you can keep an eye on your customers is by going into what is called the customer ledger card. Here you can get a more detailed and expanded snapshot of the movements on your customer. For example, I really want to see what has happened from the January 1st, 2023 until today. So we go to the tab out here on customer ledger cards. First, we have to type in a from date and a to date. And as I said, I would really love to see everything that I have booked on my customer from the 1st of January 2023 until today. So in here, we choose today's date. I want to see this for my customer Lars Andersen, so I enter either his customer number here in from customer and to customer. I can even write his name, or I can just press in number 1 because that is his customer number. So it says from customer 1 to customer 1, so I don't get all of my customers, but only Lars. You can also search for a specific customer group by filling in these fields if you want to see it for all customers in a specific customer group. Then we have some check boxes that you can mark. If we take a closer look at these, the first one is show accounts with 0 balance. This means that if, for example, everything is matched for my customer Lars and he has a balance of 0 with nothing in his open entries, but I still wanted to want it shown on the customer ledger card, I can check this box off. Then we have this one called show open only. If I only want to include what is open on my customer Lars, I check this box and I do want that, so I check this out. Over here, we take a look at this one called include non-booked entries, which is used if, for example, you have some payments in your journal that have not yet been booked, but you want to check how these affect Lars Andersen's account. Then I can check this box off and make sure that everything is correct before I book my customer payments. I'll show this to you later, but for now, I don't have anything in my journal, so there's no need for me to check this box. Then we just press OK. What we now can see that it is for my customer Lars Andersen for the period up here. You can see that customer Lars Andersen for the period 1st of January 2023 until the 24th of November 2023. I have talked a bit with my customer Lars, and he would like an overview of what he owes me. So here I have all the open invoices for my customer Lars. I can see that there are 3 invoices. I can see that it involves invoice 10,000, 10,001, and 10,002. We can see the amount on the invoices. And finally, down here, we can see the total balance and the total amount that Lars owes me. If I want to see what this customer ledger card looks like when Lars receives it, we can click up here on Show Statement of Account. Then we'll open up a little PDF so I can check out how the layout is. So what we see here is that it is a statement of accounts from my company, it's just economic, to Lars, where he can get an overview of what he owes me down here. We can also see the invoices that make up the statement. Maybe I can zoom in a little bit so you are able to see it. Here we go. As well as a balance down here in the bottom, so you can see the total that he owes me. I think everything looks fine, so now I would like to send this statement of accounts to Lars. The way we do this is by pressing the envelope up here in the top that says email statement of account. When we press email statement of account, this window appears. The system, as standard, retrieves the email you have entered for your customer. I did not enter any email on Lars, so I'll just put in an email, just be our economic email here. Oops, economic, there we go. Oop. Of course, you can always correct it, that if another email needs to receive this, then what you have put in on the customer account out here. But for me, it's fine that it just uses the email I just entered. You can also add more recipients down here and a little message down here in the body text if you would like to. So I write, here is the statement of accounts as requested. Here we go. If I want the system to remember this body text so I don't have to write it every time I send out a statement of accounts, I can just check this box over here, and then I'm ready to press send. Then Lars will receive it in his email, and he can get his desired overview. To sum up what we have looked at here in the customer ledger card, as we can see, we can actually see the same as we can on the entries on account when we are under our customers, as I showed you before out here. However, while we are in the customer ledger card section, we can send a statement of account to our customers, providing them with an overview of both the movements and the overdue amount that they have with us. Additionally, here under the customer ledger card, we can easily see everything that is open for all of our customers or several of our customers without having to go into each individual customer and view the open entries as we would have to if we were under the customer registry. So here we can quickly get an overview with just a few clicks. The last thing I want to show you in terms of how to keep an eye on your customers is by going up here to the Reports tab, and then down to Customers, and then the Report Aged Debtors out here. Here in Aged Debtors, you can again search for a specific customer or a specific customer group if you wish to. I will leave it blank for now since I want an overview of how it looks for all of my customers as of today. Therefore, I also put today's date here in the as of field. Then I also need to look here at the interval field. And in this field, I specify the interval the report should be displayed in. I want to see it with a 5-day interval. So that's what I write in the field here. Then we have this one up here called invoices, where we can choose whether we want to see when invoices were overdue or when invoices will be overdue. So we can choose between seeing how many days it has been since an invoice is due or how many days there are left until an invoice is overdue. For example, when I can expect to receive some money. I want to see the former, so I choose show when invoices were due up here. And then I also have the option to click off some of these boxes out here to the right. I will explain more about show details in just a moment, so we will just leave it for now. We have show accounts with zero balance, which is used if you want to see customers who have a balance of 0, where everything on the customer is matched. And again, we have include non-booked entries if you want to include your draft entries that you have in your journal. So far, there is nothing I need to include over here as I want to see the open entries on my customers, and I have no entries in my journal. So I'll just press OK. When we press OK, it looks like this, and we get an overview of the customers that we have with open balances. We can, for example, see that my customer Lars Andersen, he has an open balance of 4,050 Danish crowns, which are not yet due. Actually, the same for Maya. She has 5,250 Danish crowns, which are also not yet due. If we look at Line Madsen down here, we can see that she has an balance that have been overdue for 6 to 10 days at 1,750 Danish crowns, meaning that I maybe should take a conversation with Line and find out what is going on, and maybe send her a little reminder on this payment. On the far right, I can see the balance out here, which is the total outstanding or opened amount for each of my customers, indicating the overall amount that they owe me down here. As we can see, there isn't much information visible here. If I want more details on what these numbers actually represent, we can go back up here to the search bar up here, and then click off Show Details and OK once again. Now we can see that we got a lot more information. We can see which invoices are overdue specifically. We can see their due dates. We can see individual invoice amounts, and again, the total balance down here, and for each customer as well. So by checking Show Details, we get more insights into what these numbers consist of. So we can see what exactly does this number consist of, and I can go back and trace it back to each invoice. So we have explored various ways to keep an eye on our customer. Now let's look at setting up our journal and book some customer payments. We'll first navigate up here to Accounts or Accounting, and then we'll go into Customer Payments out here to the left. Now we're going to see how to set up our journal as efficiently as possible to minimize as much manual typing as possible. I would like that when I make a customer payment, that is a registration that my customer have paid, it is done as automatically as possible. I know that I almost always enter the same information when booking customer payments, and it's very rare for me to not follow my usual protocol. Therefore, I want to set it up as automatically as possible to reduce manual work. To do this setup, I need to click on this button called Other Options, and then choose Journal Setup. The first thing I want to do is go down here to Entries, and then let's take a look at this one called Contra Account for Customer Payments. I want to set up my journal so when I create a new customer payment, the system knows automatically which contra account I would like to put on my entries. So I go down here to the entries, and here we can see that I have chosen a fixed contra account for customer payments. I can also choose to do this for supplier payments or journal entries, but this one is the main focus up here. Additionally, I can choose which entry types are allowed in this journal. Since this is a customer payments journal, I choose that the only allowed entry type in this journal is customer payments down here. This is, of course, something that can always change if desired. The contra account for customer payments is set as default to 5820, which is my bank account. It is set as a default because I know that when I send an invoice to my customers, I have entered my bank account on the invoice where customers should transfer the money to. Therefore, my bank account is always the one I use as a contra account when handling customer payments. So I'll leave it as it is. When I register my customer payment, I would like there to be an automatic text so that I don't have to manually write a text every time I make a customer payment. So I go down to this menu called Automatic Text. Here I have the option of entering an automatic text that will be written on the customer payments that I register in the journal. I have the option of using dynamic fields down here that retrieve information from other information in my economic agreement, so I save as much manual typing as possible. In the text field here, I type in my wanted a text, so I'll type in paid invoice number. Then I would like to include the invoice number, so I'll click down here in insert dynamic field and then choose invoice number. Here we go. However, I would like the text to also include some information about the customer making the payment. I add the text from, and then go down here and then choose customer name and type in number as well, and then choose the customer number as well. This means that now when I make an customer payment, it will say in the text paid invoice number and then state the invoice number from the specific customer name and the number of the customer as well. The last thing I want to ensure is working as it should in my journal is my number series or my entry numbers. It is so that you have a number series per journal, and this is to ensure that your entry numbers do not overlap. So here I want to make sure that I have a number in my customer payment journal that does not interfere with any of the numbers, such as those I use in my daily journal or in my salaries journal. Therefore, I choose a number series that starts with the number 60,000, down here the minimum number, 60,000. And then I also type in the max numbers as 70,000. This ensures my number series does not use an entry number lower than 60,000. So this is where you determine what the next number is in my number series, what the minimum number is, and what the maximum number must be. And here I choose that, of course, that the max number is 70,000. I will as well go up here in the next number and make sure that it starts at the same place as the minimum number. And this ensures that you do not go into other number series by accident and thus mess up your entry numbers, because that can make a huge mess. Now I have set up what I want in this journal, so I'll click Save. The payments that I have received in my bank needs to be booked here in economics, so we don't have any invoices marked as unpaid if they have actually been paid. The way I do this is by clicking on New Entry up here. Already now we can see that some of the setup that I made earlier. We can see that the type here is locked, so we can only create customer payments. No matter how much I press it here, I cannot change it, and that's because I set it up earlier that in this journal, I could only create customer payments. We can see that the system itself had chosen entry number 60,000, which was what we chose as the next number right before. It has automatically selected today's date, and a little further down, we can see that it has already chosen 5820, which is my bank account, as the contra account. Now I take a look at my bank and I can see that I have received some money from my customers. I can see that it is my customer Lars Andersen who has paid his invoice, and he has been so kind as to indicate which invoice number he has paid. Therefore, I just I enter as the first thing the invoice number up here, which is 10,000. That Lars Andersen has indicated on the payment. When I enter my invoice number and then press tab or enter, this system is smart enough to figure out that the invoice number 10,000 belongs to customer number 1, which is Lars Andersen, and that the amount on the invoice is 3,000 Danish crowns. The system has automatically filled in the text down here based on what we set up earlier in automatic text. So you can see down here that the text says payment of invoice number 10,000 from Lars Andersen, number 1. The last thing we need to do is make sure that the date of my customer payment matches the date I received the money in my bank. I can see in my bank that the payment was received today, so it matches fine, and I do not have to change the date up here. So by setting up a lot in the journal in advance, we actually only need to enter the invoice number on the invoice the payment belongs to, and the system fills in the rest itself. Of course, we always need to check that the date of the entry matches the date in the bank and that the entry is as it should be. But we save a lot of typing by just doing a little prep work in setting up the journal. But I think everything looks fine, so I'll press Save and New to create the next payment I have received in my bank. For this payment, there is no specified invoice number. However, I can see that the payment comes from my customer Lars Andersen as well. So I'll just search for Lars over here in the customer number. Find him here, Lars Andersen. In my bank, I can see that Lars has paid 300 Danish crowns. So I enter that in the amount field. Now I have told that I have received a payment from my customer Lars Andersen of 300 Danish crowns, and we can see that in the text field down here, we have it does not state which invoice number the payment concerns because we have not specified this yet. So I just enter the information I have for now, and then we press Save. But it is actually not only in my journal that I can create these customer payments. I can also create customer payments from my home page. So we just go up here to the tab Home. And on the home page, we have unpaid sales invoices, as we talked about in the beginning of the course. And from here, we can also create customer payments. I can see in my bank that Lars Andersen has also paid invoice 10,001. Let me just find it right here. And I would like to book that. I can create a customer payment from the homepage by clicking on the invoice. Oh, here, clicking on the invoice. Here the system asks which journal I want to create the payment in. And here I, of course, choose my customer payments journal. Because I have set up this journal to automatically use account 5820 as the country account, the system fills in the country account field itself. The only thing I need to enter is the date. I can see that I have received the payment in my bank today. So that's the date I enter. And then click on Send to Journal. If we go back to my journal, right here, we can now see that I have 3 customer payments for the 3 invoices I have sent to Lars Andersen. Here I can choose to either book my 3 customer payments or leave them as draft entries if I want to check that they have been created correctly. If you want to check that you have done that what you have done is correct, you can go to Sales and then into the customer ledger card once again. As I mentioned earlier, we have the button over here called Include Non-Booked Entries, where we can include the customer payments we just created to see how it looks on the customer Lars Andersen. We can see that the system has remembered my previous search, stating that it is my customer Lars Andersen, and we are searching from the 1st of January 2023 until today. Then I check the box Include Non-Booked Entries to include the customer payments in my journal. And then I click OK. We can see that the customer ledger card is blank, indicating that Lars Andersen has no open balance or open entries to pay me. We just created 3 customer payments for Lars, and these 3 payments bring Lars's balance to 0, and that's why it's blank. If we go back to the search bar up here, we can see that I have a check mark in Show Open Only. So the customer ledger card will be blank because Lars has no open entries and therefore no open balance. If we remove this check mark and put it in Show Accounts with 0 balance and then click OK, then we get something on the screen. We can see that we have all of our invoices, the top 3 here, and we also have the customer payments, the last 3 here. If we look all the way to the right out here in the balance column, we can see that it goes to 0. So this is indeed a great way to check that the payments I have made in my journal are correct before booking them. Another way to check this is by going to Reports and then click on Debtors. Here we do the same as with the customer ledger card. We check the Include Non-Booked Entries and Show Accounts with 0 balance. Then I select my customer Lars, so I only choose him. After that, I click OK. Here I can again see that I have some invoices and payments that are that reduce the balance to 0 out here. You can see that is 0 all the way out here in the balance when I post the payments that are in my journal. Yes. If we go back to the home page up here, we can see how it looks now that we have made these customer payments in the journal. I can see that my invoices to Lars Andersen are still here. This means that I am not quite finished registering these payments. Unpaid sales invoices look at what we have booked, so the invoices will only disappear from here when I book the payments that are in my journal. I want the invoices to Lars to be removed from the unpaid sales invoices, so I go back to accounting, go to customer payments, then I select all of the customer payments that I have made, and then click on book entries. Now I have booked my entries and my journal is blank. So let's head back to home here, to the home page, and see what happened. Now we can see that the 2 invoices that had an invoice number on the customer payment are gone. They have been matched, meaning the invoice and customer payment have been matched with each other. However, we still have this invoice, the 10,002, which is still under unpaid sales invoices. Unpaid sales invoices work in that way that it looks at the open entries for Lars Andersen. Since we didn't enter an invoice number on the customer payment and invoice haven't been matched yet, and therefore the invoice still appears under unpaid sales invoices. In other words, on the customer payment, we stated that Lars Andersen paid this amount of 3,000 Danish crowns, but we didn't specify which invoice he paid. However, we can always correct this later if we don't have an invoice number when creating the customer payment. So to do that, we go back to sales and then customers. Here we can see that everything is actually as it should be if we look here at Lars Andersen. His balance is at 0 and there is nothing in overdue. Way we also make it look like this on the home page is by going out here to open entries. Here I can see my payment and the invoice. I select both. We can see that the total selected amount goes to 0, meaning they match each other out. And then I press up here on match selected and then OK. Now we can see that we no longer have any open entries for Lars Andersen, and he therefore doesn't owe me anything anymore. Everything we have booked for him has been matched. And if you want to see what has been booked and matched for Lars Andersen, you can go up here to show entries on account. And all invoices and payments will appear once again, so we can get a good overview. It is possible to undo a matching if you have mistakenly matched entries. The way to do this is by clicking up here on Show Previously Matched Entries. And you can see all the entries that have found a match, meaning all the entries that have been matched up. To undo a matching, simply click on the entries. If I wanted to unmatch these 2, I can click, not this one. If I want to click unmatch this invoice and this customer payment, I'll just mark them out here to the left and then press up here on undo match, undo matching. Afterward, the entries will no longer be matched with each other and then appear on the open entries tab instead. If we go back to the home page and look under unpaid sales invoices, we can now see that there are no longer any invoices for Lars Andersen, and he no longer owes me anything. Now that we've looked at payments, let's move on to how to create reminders for our customers. You find the reminders module under the sales tab and out here to the left. The reminder module is a part of our Plus, Smart, and Advanced packages, which also means that you don't have the option to create and send reminders if you're on a basic subscription. So if you go under the sales tab and don't have offers, orders, and reminders on the left side, it's because you have a basic subscription and therefore don't have the option to send reminders. Let's dive into reminders and see how it looks. The first thing we need to decide when we are in reminders is what type of reminder we want to to send to our customer. When we click on the type, we have 5 different types to choose from. We have a statement of account, we have reminder 1, 2, and 3, and lastly, we have a debt collection. The first one I choose is a statement of account. It's actually a bit similar to what we sent to Lars Andersen earlier through the customer ledger card tab out here to the left. There's one out here. This means that we have several different places in the system from which you can send a statement of accounts to your customers. The big difference between the customer ledger card out here and the statement of accounts through the reminders module is whether there is a payment term or not. When we send a statement of accounts through the reminder module where we are right now, we set a payment term and bank details. The customer ledger card can be seen as a reminder or an overview of the transactions that have occurred on your customers. Here it's about whether you want to send your customers a reminder where you want the money now, or if it's just an overview you want to send to the customer. If you want to send a statement of accounts to your customers, we recommend that you send it through the customer ledger card tab instead of choosing the statement of accounts here under reminders. This is because a statement of accounts sent through the reminder module has a payment term, which means you cannot send reminder 1, 2, or 3 to the customer until the due date on the statement of account has passed. Additionally, a statement of accounts sent through the reminder module will not show all transactions on the customer account, but only the open entries, which can give a distorted picture of the accounting history. If you are in doubt about which option to choose, always feel free to reach out to the support and we'll guide you to the best possible for you. The next type we have is a reminder 1. With reminder 1, we can send a reminder to our customers for all the invoices that have exceeded their due date. This also means that reminder 1 is the first reminder in the reminder flow. To send reminder 1, it requires that the invoice we want to send has exceeded the due date. When forming reminder 1, there are various fields to consider. If we want to send a reminder to a specific customer, we can narrow down the search by entering the customer's number or specify the customer group. If you want an overview of which invoices are overdue for which we have the option to send a reminder 1, we can simply leave these fields blank to get the total overview. Then we need to enter a date in the to date field. Here you should specify the date up to which the invoice are overdue. This means that only invoices overdue before this date will appear as a possible reminder. We must also choose the correct currency. This is very important to select the currency in which the invoices are created, as they will not appear otherwise. Then we have grace per day. And grace per day, or grace per days, is the number of days you add to the due date on your reminder before you can remind the customer again. If, for example, I have set a payment term of net 8 days, but it falls on a Saturday, I would like to give my customers a little extra time to pay. So I want to give them 2 extra days. So that's why it says 2 here in this field. Then we also have charge and interest charge up here, which we will not look at here for reminder 1, as it is not something I set up for my reminder 1, but we will get back to it. We must also choose a payment term that indicates how long they have to pay. I choose immediately payment. Then we also have the tab called text. And here I can specify what heading should appear on my reminder. Because it is reminder 1, I will type in a friendly reminder in the heading because it's just the first reminder. So we want to be friendly. If I want a little text, I can type it in down here. If I apply interest or charge, I can set up a text as well for these. And we have text for invoice entries, which I typed in invoice, so it makes more sense. If we then go back, we can see that we are about to create a reminder for the current date. This is for all my customers in my customer registry because we have not specified anything up here. So I would like to see which invoices have expired that I can send a reminder 1 on. Then we can see that I have also given them 2 extra days to pay. This is a good search, so I'll just press OK. Here we can see that I have 2 customers who have some invoices that have expired. We can see the invoice date that they were issued on. It's out here in this column, as well as the due date for each invoice as well. Then we can see the text that I entered in connection with what should appear for the invoice. We can also see the amount that the customer owes us for each invoice. Finally, we can see the interest, but since I didn't add anything in interest, it is at 0 all the way down, which is perfect. The same we can see down here in the total interest and the reminder charge, which are both at 0 because I didn't specify it in my search. If I want to see how this reminder looks for my customer when I send it, we can click on View Reminder up here, or Show Reminder. We can see that it is a reminder from my company e-conomic to my customer Maja Sørensen. It is a friendly reminder, which was what I entered in my heading. It is a reminder number 6281. Maybe too small to see, but it is my 6281. And it's on the date 28th of November. And if we go all the way down, we can see the invoices that we want that we want to remind the customer about, and as well as a total amount down here. We have also set a payment condition for immediate payment. It also states that the amount may be deposited into my bank account and on which information as well. We have different ways to send a reminder. There is an option to send a reminder per invoice. You do this by the envelope next to each invoice line out here, as you can see here. If you want to send it as a collective reminder for all invoices, you can click on the envelope next to the customer's name, the top one up here. If, on the other hand, you just want to send out everything we have to our customers, you can click on the on the blue box up here in the top. That's called Book or Register Selected. I would like to write a little text to my customers so that they can see what I am sending, and therefore I click on the envelope for my customer Maja Sørensen. Then we can see that I have to insert a recipient. So I'll just put in Maja's email so she can receive it. Then I also have the option to put in the body text. I write, please pay as soon as possible. And a little smiley to be friendly. And then I'm ready to book and send to send a reminder to Maja. I do the same with my other customer, Line Madsen, out here. It is not a requirement that I write any body text. So here I'll just leave it as it is, but of course put in a recipient. Oh, not this email. Here we go. I'll just leave the body text as it is, just for this one. And press book and send. Now we can see that there is no longer anything here on reminder 1 based on the search that I just made. This also means that we have booked and sent a reminder 1. We cannot send reminder 1 on the same invoices again. It also means that there is nothing more we can send a reminder on, and that meets my search criteria. You can also send a reminder 2 once reminder 1 has expired. And you can only send a reminder 3 once reminder 2 has expired. You can only send an invoice to debt collection once reminder 3 has expired. Let's say a few days has passed, and now I am going to send reminder 2 to my 2 customers, Maja and Line. The date is now the 30th of November, and I would like to see what I can send a reminder 2 for. Again, I leave my customer group and the customer blank, and I leave the grace per days as number 2. I remember to choose up here in type, I choose reminder 2. I have agreed with my accountant that there should be a 100 Danish crowns reminder charge on my reminder 2 when I send it. I would also like, let's just type it in, 100 Danish crowns in charge. I would also like some interest on reminder 2. There should be an interest rate of 2. So I type in up here, which is something I have worked out with my accountant as well. It should always it should also be noted that you should of course talk to your accountant about the charge and interest to be included on your reminders, as they know best. Based on the interest rate, we choose which interest charge we want to use. Here we choose whether interest should be calculated per month or exactly. Exactly interest charge will take the exact number of days from the invoice or last reminder's due date to the date you create the new reminder. Per month calculates interest in whole months. If we choose per month on our reminder 2 and choose an interest rate of 2%, it means that we want to set 2% interest for the entire month. It also means, however, that if we want to send a reminder 3 with interest for the same month, there will be no interest on reminder 3 as we have already set interest for the entire month in our reminder 2. We recommend choosing exact interest charged, but of course that's something you should discuss with your accountant if you are in doubt. Then we can enter a trifle interest. In trifle interest, which you may know as trifle threshold, you can enter an interest amount that is so small that you do not want to charge or book it. If interest is credited, the interest is booked as income. If the customer does not pay the interest, you must reverse the interest income. The function can therefore also be used to only charge interest to customers where there is a serious reason to charge interest. For example, in cases where the interest amount is over 200 Danish crowns. I would like that if the interest amount is less than 10 Danish crowns, it should not appear on my reminders. Then we can also enter a trifle balance, and that is the minimum amount I want to send a reminder to for, and I set that to 50 Danish crowns, as I do not want to chase for such small amounts. I just leave my payment terms, so it is for immediate payment as I want my money now. Then we go into text again, and we can see that it has remembered the text for invoice entries. In the heading, I just type in reminder 2. On my reminder 2, I have interests and charge, and here we'll like to say interest up here, interest charge. So my customers can see what the numbers we entered for interest and charge relate to. You can also go back here in charge. Just put it like this. So my customers can see what it actually is. We go back to general and check that everything is as it should be. It looks fine, so I'll press OK. When we press OK, we can see all the invoices that we can send reminder 2 for. That means all the invoices that we have sent a reminder 1 for and have exceeded their due date will appear here for reminder 2. We can see the 3 invoices for Maja Sørensen and the 3 invoices for Line Madsen, meaning that these 2 customers have not yet paid for the reminder 1, and all of these invoices are still overdue. Out here on the right, we can see the interest and how it is calculated for each invoice as well, and it will also give us a total amount down here in the bottom, so we can tell if we are happy with it or not. We can also see this if we press a show reminder. We can see how everything looks down here. We can see that it is reminder 2 we are dealing with now up here, as we said. We can see the invoices again for which we are sending reminder 2. We can see that we have some interest down here, and a charge which amounts to 100 Danish crowns. This leaves Maja Sørensen at a total of 5,350 Danish crowns, which she owes me for immediate payment. We can also take a look at Line's reminder out here. We also have the invoices stated, as well as the interest and charge, and the total amount down here in the bottom, as also for immediate payment. Everything is as it should be. So I select my 2 customers out here to the left. And then we go out here and set book an email reminder. I just press in type in the email address once again and say book and send. And we'll do the same thing for Line and type in the email address and say book and send. If we now go back to reminders, now some time has passed as well, and I want to send reminder 3. So I choose reminder 3 here in the type. When I choose reminder 3, it remembers a bit from my previous search. It takes today's date, or it takes the last date that I entered. But let's say a few more days has passed. So now we are going into December here, the 2nd of December. I leave grace per day as well to be 2 days once again. And I want to create a reminder 3 for all of my customers. So I leave customer group and customer number blank as well. This way I again get everything I have the opportunity to send a reminder 3 for. I also want an extra reminder charge on reminder 3, which is 100 Danish crowns, and an interest rate at 3. Oh, sorry, at 2%. Let's say 2% instead. There we go. Now I want the interest rate to be at least 15 Danish crowns. So that is what I said here in the trifle interest. My minimum or the trifle balance here I would like to have is at least 75 Danish crowns, as I do not want to chase invoices with a lower balance than 75 Danish crowns. If we switch to text up here, we can edit the text. I want to make it clear to my customer that it is a reminder 3 that they receive. So I type in reminder 3 in the heading. And in the text, I would like to say debt collection notice, so they know that I do not pay reminder, that if they do not pay reminder 3 now, it will be sent to debt collection next time. So let's say debt collection notice, so they know. We go back to general and see if everything is as it should be. I think it looks very fine, so we say OK. We can now see that there are the same invoices for Maja and Line as well. If we look to the right, we can see that there is an interest out here calculated as well for each invoice. We also have the reminder charge down here at the bottom, as well as interest calculated out here for Line Madsen, and as well as the reminder charge in the bottom. We can again go in and see what the reminder looks like on show reminder up here at the top. We can see here that the reminder is reminder 3, and it also says debt collection notice out here. We can see all of the invoices that we want the money for, or what the reminder 3 consists of. And then we can see some fees or the charge and the interest as well, and the total amount down here at the bottom. Can also take a look at Line's reminder as well, saying the same thing, that it is a reminder 3. We have the debt collection. We have the 3 invoices as well as charge and interest, leaving Line at with a total of 1,975 Danish crowns that she owes me. Now everything is as it should be. The interest I want has been added, and now I would like to send this reminder. So I go out here and press book an email reminder, type in the email address once again. Here we go. And then say book and send. We do the same thing for Line, and book and send. Reminder 3 is now blank again, which means we have sent out everything we could send out on our reminder 3. Now we have looked at reminders, so now let's see how to create a customer payment for the reminders that we have created. We will also look at how to reverse the interest and charges that we have added to our reminders. Now some time has passed, and I can see that I have received some payments from my customers on the reminders that I have sent to them. I need to register this using a customer payment. So I go into accounting, and here I go to the journal customer payments, and I press new entry to create a customer payment. In my customer payment, I have to choose which customer I have received money from. It is my customer number 2, Maja Sørensen. So I enter that here in the customer number. Maja Sørensen has paid everything she should on the reminders that I have sent to her. Therefore, I would like to match all the reminders I have sent to Maja Sørensen in one payment. The way we can do this is by entering the invoice number here in the invoice number, or otherwise we can press match entries out here to see everything that is open on Maja's customer account. Let me just expand this a little bit so you can see it. Here we go. We have some invoices, and we also have some of the reminders that we sent to her. This is the 2 bottom ones, and that is of course the interest and the charges that I have added to my reminders. And then the 4 above is the invoices. Then you can start filling in the amount that Maja has paid for each invoice, reminder, and interest. You can also press match out here. We can press match with the full amount if it is the entire amount that have been paid. If she has paid everything we can see here, we can go to other options and press select all. Then we can see that it has filled in everything for us, meaning it has filled in all the amounts that Maja has paid. And then we press match selected. When we press match selected, the invoice number will be blank. The invoice number is blank because there are so many invoice numbers and reminders that she has paid for it, so there's not enough room for them in the field. However, we can see the invoices and reminders down here in the text, because we have set up the automatic text earlier in the course. That automatically retrieves the invoice numbers as well as the reminder numbers out here, so I can see them all in the text. We can also see that it has filled in the amount itself, showing a total of everything we have matched before. The money is paid to my bank account 5820. She has paid on the correct date, so I need to make sure to enter that in the field for the date. So that it matches my bank. It is as it should be, so we press save. Now the customer payment is in my journal. I would like to book it right away, so I choose the entry out here and says book entries. If we then go to the home page, we can see that there is no longer anything outstanding or open on Maja Sørensen. She no longer owes me anything as she has paid it all. However, we still have Line Madsen who owes me some money. I have had a conversation with Line Madsen about her situation, and she has stated that she would like to pay it all now, but prefers to avoid the interest and charges that have been added due to her situation. I am willing to accommodate that request, as my primary goal was to receive my money in the first place. I just want the payment for the invoices she owes me, so I need to reverse the interest and charges that I have added to the reminders that Line Madsen has received. To do this, I go to Sales, and then we go to Archive. Here I search for my customer Line Madsen, which have the number 3, so that only she appears. Oh, not 33. Yes. On the type up here, I select reminder. Oops, select reminder, and then press OK to see all the reminders I have sent to Line Madsen. Here we can see that I have sent reminder 1, reminder 1, reminder 2, and reminder 3. We can get a preview of them if I would like to out here in show reminder. We can see that the date they were sent out as well, the customer name, the customer number, and what we have entered in the title of the reminder. We can see the amount of interest that have been added out here. We can see that the no interest or charges have been added to reminder 1, but there has still been an addition of 100 Danish crowns to reminder 2, and also 100 Danish crowns to reminder 3, and that's what we need to reverse. Under the charge slash interest reversed, we can see a minus sign indicating that they have not been reversed. The way we reverse charges and interest is by clicking on the box to the left of the reminders that we would like to reverse. That is reminder 2 and reminder 3. And then we go up here and press reverse selected. Then a small window appears asking what we want to reverse. Do you want to reverse interest or the late payment interest and the reminder charge? We check both and says yes. Once we have approved it, it will now show yes on the side out here, indicating that the charge has been reversed. Now Line Madsen can simply pay, and she only needs to pay what she owes me for the invoices I sent her, and she does not have to pay interest or charge fee. That was essentially what I had for this part of the course. The last thing I would like to show you is something called straksindbetaling, or in English also called spot factoring. So if we just go up to our market up here, you can find add-on modules that you can choose and add on to your agreement. Here we go into straksindbetaling. The reason I want to mention straksindbetaling or spot factoring in this course is because it can be used as a replacement for sending reminders. Straksindbetaling involves our partner called Moneyflow. The service is about Moneyflow buying your invoices immediately, so you get money for the invoice as soon as you book it in e-conomic, ensuring you get the funds as quickly as possible. Moneyflow will then accept the payment from your customer when the customer pays the invoice. If the customer doesn't pay the invoice, Moneyflow makes sure to send out reminders, so you don't have to keep an eye on that. This means that when you create an invoice for your customers, you can decide whether to include straksindbetaling or not. When you enable straksindbetaling, a fee will be charged for what Moneyflow takes for handling this payment on your behalf. If you want to hear more about straksindbetaling, please reach out and we will be happy to talk to you about it and answer all of your questions. That also leads me to the end of this course, because that was what I had about customer payments and reminders. If you need help or have questions about what we have covered in the course or anything else, please feel free to use one of the support options listed here on the screen. Thank you for watching and have a great day.